And welcome back for our deciding game here in round 7. We have the all-exciting Zombie Mirror matchup, which has so far come down to whoever makes more Geralf's Messengers and Blood Artists.
Yeah, generally how these games are going to go. We'll see if both players are happy with their 7s, and swamp and go from Adam. Feels like you'd want to be making 1-drops really, but Tormod's Crypt from Nick there. Interesting.
That is obviously his tech for dealing with Geralf's Messenger.
Yeah. Does deal quite well with Undying, that is true.
Maybe would have preferred like a Relic of Progenitus instead. That used to be a beast.
Speaking of what could be a pretty big beast in this matchup, that's Skursdag High Priest. I think that Nick would be very wise to try and get that off the board as fast as he can. Don't really want Adam to be making demons. And of course, again, like the Aristocrats deck, it's really not that hard for zombies to find a way to get morbid.
So monsters getting played out on both sides of the board here, but Adam has missed a land drop, I believe.
Yes, he has. He's just on the 2 lands. But maybe he thought that the High Priest and the Vampire would get him there. And if Nick's got a removal spell here, it's going to be pretty devastating for Adam. Vampire Nighthawk.
The artwork looks suspiciously like Bad Moon from 4th edition.
Oh, you were playing back when that was legal in 4th edition, weren't you?
Wouldn't be a particularly good card for this matchup.
No.
All black creatures get +1/+1.
Yep. Well, there's an Undying monster, so Adam is definitely threatening demon this turn.
Sacrifice the ghoul for the vampire?
So Nick now has the Nick now has the opportunity to respond to the Undying trigger. He would more than likely be wise to do so.
Well, he's picked up his Tormod's Crypt, and he removes the zombie from the graveyard.
Actually, with that trigger on the stack? Yeah. So before
Nope, not quite. Bit of a rewind.
I'm going to slip your back.
He's using Morbid to kill the Vampire Nighthawk. And then Crypt resolves. At this point, I think that a better play from Adam, if he could have made it, would just be to go make Gravecrawler make a demon.
It's interesting to point out that Adam knows his timings pretty well.
Yeah. We saw that from game 1 where he got the Blood Artist killed, despite the fact there being Blood Artists on either side of the board. He knows his stack timing and various other things. Oh goody, a Blood Artist.
And Nick's now playing his land above his land, with the creatures on the side.
I don't even think that's an option on Magic Online.
Land must be played everywhere.
Yep.
Adam's a lot more regimental with his placing of creatures and lands.
Yep.
What's coming here? Yeah, so it takes me to 18.
And a messenger.
The man, indeed. The guy who's gonna win Adam this game, right?
Well, he's pretty much... he's not done him too much harm so far. Does Nick have one of his own? Yep. First game so far that we've seen dueling messengers.
Yeah, you don't see too much in this matchup of anything with toughness greater than 2, so the messenger can pretty much punch through most things.
Yeah, and the fact that Adam's now got the High Priest, I think, is just going to be huge in this. I'm pretty sure Nick would have killed it by now if he had the opportunity to do so.
There's certain cards you don't like stick around, and that's one of them.
Mm-hmm. Adam just accepts 1 off the vampire. I think that he's more than happy to do that. Adam's still stuck on 3 a bit, and oof, Diagraph Captain.
So things are starting to get serious on Adam's side of the board now.
Yep, 4-3 messenger comes crashing in, and no blocks for Nick. Yeah, it's very hard to profitably block a lot of these creatures in zombies.
Sure, so it's untap.
And now Adam does have the ability to just fire off a demon whenever he needs to, so Nick's got to watch out a little bit here because his life total could really start plummeting. As generally happens when 5/5s start appearing. Would you like to tap another mana for that Blood Artist, Nick?
See whether either player picks up on this.
Doesn't look like it really, does it?
Counting to 2 is hard.
One thing you do have to be careful, guys. I mean, at any event from Friday Night Magic to a PTQ, you watch your opponent as well as watch what you're doing yourself. I think that a lot of players tend to get very caught up in their own decisions rather than paying attention to the overall situation.
Nick Lote's probably the type of guy, though, if we called him up and told him he was getting a 6-month ban for paying tapping his mana incorrectly, he'd probably believe you. We caught you cheating on camera.
Oh, at end of turn, Adam is going to sacrifice his messenger.
2 burst triggers, and then he's going to come back.
And now we've got to do maths. Got 2 Blood Artist triggers and the Diagraph Captain trigger.
2 blood ice triggers on the stack.
Well, so long as the life totals aren't low, they should just cross each other off, really.
Yeah, well, net result is Nick loses. Nick loses 1 due to the messenger and the Diagraph Captain triggers, and Adam loses 2. And gets a demon. That's a fairly important side effect. Demons are good.
Yeah.
Can I go to untap now? That last card in Nick's hand can't be good. Again, the fact it isn't a removal spell, and it isn't a creature either, because it would have been played, unless it's some kind of like 6 mana monstrosity. So it's pretty obvious that Nick is holding the land at this point. Adam's just checking with Appetite for Brains, and yep, it's a land that Nick's holding.
Let's see whether Nick carries on trying to bluff it on the next turn.
Well, Blood Artist from Adam, so now we've got a Blood Artist and a Diagraph Captain triggering on one side and 2 Blood Artists on the other side.
And with the life total sort of very gradually whittling down, we're going to get to some sort of conclusion pretty soon, you would think.
You'd think so. There's just too much in the way of forces building up on either side for this to be... Now then... we have a lot of triggers going on one side of the board there. This is what Nick is responding to Adam's Blood Artist. This is what the situation is here. He's sacrificing his Geralf's Messenger, and I think that Nick is wondering if he can outstack Adam here and actually win. But Adam said at the time, he said the maximum Nick can do at this point is 5. Once the messenger comes back into play, so Nick cannot quite kill him with Blood Artist triggers.
Nick's just trying to work that out right about now.
Yeah. Those of you who don't quite see it, 2 from the messenger sack, 2 from the sacking one of the blood artists, and then 1 from sacking another because the vampire cannot sacrifice to itself, I don't believe. Oh no, the blood-thrown vampire can sacrifice to itself, but obviously it needs to be in play to sacrifice with one of the blood artists, so there's no way that Nick can deal, could have dealt 6 there.
Okay, so he is a.
Adam decides that turning his 2 5-power creatures sideways is the best part of Valor here. It seems pretty good, really.
5/4, sorry.
Yeah, he's 5/4.
Like, Nick, you have a cavern in hand, we know this.
Okay, I'll block with the.
Now that vampire's already 3/3 because because Nick sacrificed his messenger.
So you've got no open mana.
And that is a lot what you're trying to do in this matchup, is just make a biggest creature as possible. And hope they don't tragic slip it. Because it's so hard to punch through.
That would be quite embarrassing if a tragic slip came out of one's hand here, but obviously it's not going to because Adam's tapped out and Nick has a cavern in hand. I think Nick's just deciding whether he wants to sacrifice either his messenger or one of his blood artists in order to trade with Adam's messenger. Combat maths, it is difficult.
You certainly had a few rough decisions to make this game.
Yep. I mean, either way here, Adam's going to be able to make another demon. So this just feels like it feels like Nick's just falling further and further behind, even though Adam is on such a low life total.
Yeah, it's actually one of the funny things about Magic the Gathering for new players to understand is that, you know, when you play other games, you simply look at the life totals and that tells you who's actually winning. And very often, Magic the Gathering, this turns out to be a fallacy.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, these two have got to hurry up a little bit on the decisions here because we're very close to time being called in the round. And Nick does finally decide to sacrifice his messenger.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's going to essentially be 1 trigger to you. Happy to just cancel those 2?
With the net result that he gains 1 and Adam loses 1. I think Adam at this point is just asking Nick whether he's happy to just resolve all the triggers.
Yeah, neither player can kill each other at this point.
I just find it interesting at this point because Nick already agreed last turn that he can't win he can't win through blood artists, so there's no real need.
Well,
to
he
be
certainly
thinking.
shouldn't need to recalculate things he already knows the answer to.
The damage is fine by me.
I mean,
No.
the game state hasn't changed.
Okay.
So these are going to kill each other.
Those two are going to trade.
I'm taking
So 5 to you.
yeah, so I'm going down to 11 from the damage.
Yeah.
And then these.
So first there's the 5 to come off Nick's life total.
2
2
more.
things have died.
Those 2 creatures trade. Net result, Adam goes down to, I believe, 3. And Nick goes up to 12, yep.
Lots of pointing at stuff on the tables.
If you're going to play with blood artists, guys, make sure that you're good at your maths.
If you're going to play against blood artists, you've got to make sure that your opponent's good at maths.
Yeah, make sure that you don't... also make sure you don't miss triggers.
It's very easy, well, not just to miss triggers, but also to misrepresent how many triggers have gone off.
Yep.
So there's 2 more blood.
And now there's some confusion about whose combat step it is, because so much has happened in the last
I've
5
actually
minutes.
seen games like that in the past where
Surely yours going to stack first.
a whole bunch of creatures attacked, a whole bunch blocked, lots of stuff happened, and then everyone forgot whose turn it was.
So you go down to 3.
used to be one of the Jedi mind tricks you'd play on people. You'd attack them, and stuff would happen. Then you go, and is it my turn now at the end? And then you'd untap and draw a card.
Yep. More pens pointing at cards.
Zombie, so yeah, so that's fine.
I think that strategy only ever worked when you were playing with creatures with vigilance.
Yeah.
Yes.
And is Adam going to make a demon now after combat? It seems like he'd be remiss not to, really. Just puts Nick on completely dead. Yep, he's activating his High Priest, so he's making yet another demon.
Okay.
He's going to demonize Nick.
Yep, so Nick needs to see pretty much a Brimstone Volley off the top of his deck. Is that a Brimstone Volley, Nick?
I don't think that's one. No, it's nice of him for me.
No.
Maybe if he looks at his cards a bit more, they'll turn into good ones. So well done to Adam, who should be able to make his way towards the top 8 after this victory, taking down Nick Lote by 2 games to 1.